And welcome to this grade 9 mathematics lesson where we will be exploring changing the subject of the formula. My name is Miss Donnell Phillips. Let's get started. What is a formula? A formula is an equation that tells the relationship between two or more quantities. It will usually have an equal sign and two or more unknown variables. Example, x, y, or z. Example, the formula for the volume of a cuboid is V is equal to L times W times height. So volume is equal to length times width times height. So V stands for volume, L stands for length, W stands for width, and H stands for height. And what exactly is the subject of the formula? The subject of a formula is the variable that is being worked out. It can be recognized as the letter on its own on one side of the equal sign. In the formula for the volume of a cuboid, V is the subject of the formula because the V stands by itself, and the W, the L, and the H are what we use to calculate the volume. What if we already know what the volume is, but we don't know what the height is? We would need to make the height the subject of the formula instead. When changing the subject of a formula, we rearrange the formula so that we have a different subject. Now remember, change side, change operation. If you move a term from one side of the equal sign to another, we must change the operation to do the opposite. This means that the mathematical operation that we're working with becomes the inverse of what it is once we move it across the equal sign. So let's say we were using the operation addition. When it goes across the equal sign, it becomes subtraction. Subtraction becomes addition when it goes across the equal sign also. Multiplication becomes division, and division becomes multiplication. And squares become square root, and square root becomes squares. So all this is saying is that whatever sign we're working with, whatever operation we're working with, as long as we take it across the equal sign to change the subject of the formula, then that operation becomes the opposite of what it is. Example, again, addition becomes subtraction, subtraction becomes addition, multiplication becomes division, division becomes multiplication, squares becomes square root, and square root becomes squares. Examples, number 1, make U the subject of the formula in V equals U plus AT. Number 2, make T the subject of the formula in V equals U plus AT. Number 3, make X the subject of the formula in M is equal to T plus X over Y. Number 4, given T is equal to 2 pi square root L over G. Number 1, make G the subject of the formula, and number 2, make L the subject of the formula. Number 5, given V is equal to pi r square H. Number 1, make H the subject, and number 2, make R the subject. So to summarize today's lesson, number 1, a formula is an equation that tells us the relationship between two or more quantities. Number 2, the subject of a formula is the variable that is being worked out. It can be recognized as the letter on its own on one side of the equal sign. And number 3, when changing the subject of a formula, we rearrange the formula so that we have a different subject. When we're rearranging, we need to remember that the operation that we're working with becomes the opposite of what it is. So addition becomes subtraction, subtraction becomes addition, multiplication becomes division, and division becomes multiplication. Squares becomes square root, and square root becomes square. This has brought us to the end of today's grade 9 mathematics lesson, where we explored changing the subject of the formula. My name is Miss Donnell Phillips. See you next time.